Can you feel it? The heavy air of oppression, the silent prayers of a people pushed to their very limits. This was the world Deborah was born into. The children of Israel had turned from God. They wandered from his protective embrace and did what was right in their own eyes. Trouble found them. They fell into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, ruling from Hazor. Imagine waking up every morning with dread. Sisera, commander of Jabin's army. He was Canaanite power and brutality. He commanded 900 chariots of iron, 900, the tanks of the ancient world, rumbling across the land. For 20 long years, Sisera crushed Israel. They were oppressed, broken, desperate for a deliverer. They cried out to the only one who could save them. Judges 4. After Ehud died, the people did evil in the sight of the Lord. Disobedience, discipline, desperation. They had forgotten their deliverer. In the middle of darkness, God raised up a voice, a woman. The stage was set for divine intervention. Narrator Vo. In the hill country of Ephraim. Narrator Vo. Nestled between the towns of Ramah and Bethel. Narrator Vo. There was a specific, well-known place. Narrator Vo. It was marked by a single palm tree, standing tall and resolute against the sky. Narrator Vo. This wasn't just any tree. It was known throughout the land as the palm tree of Deborah. Narrator Vo. It was here, under the shade of its fronds, that God's chosen leader held court. Narrator Vo. Deborah, whose name means bee, was indeed a busy and vital part of Israel's life. Narrator Vo. She was the wife of Lapidoth. Narrator Vo. She was a prophetess. Narrator Vo. She was a judge, a dispenser of divine wisdom and justice for the entire nation. Narrator Vo. People would travel from all over Israel. Narrator Vo. Making their way up the winding paths of the hill country. Narrator Vo. They came with their disputes. Narrator Vo. Their conflicts. Narrator Vo. Their deepest and most complicated problems. Narrator Vo. They came because they knew that under that palm tree they would find more than just a wise opinion. Narrator Vo. They would receive a word from the Lord. Narrator Vo. Deborah wasn't governing based on her own intellect or intuition. Narrator Vo. She was a conduit for the wisdom of the Almighty. Narrator Vo. She would listen intently, her spirit connected to the Holy Spirit. Narrator Vo. And she would render judgments that were righteous and true. Narrator Vo. She was a beacon of light and order in a land consumed by chaos and fear. Narrator Vo. Day after day, she sat under her palm tree, serving the people and honoring God. Narrator Vo. She was a constant, steady presence in a turbulent world. The time for judgment and disputes was about to pause. The time for deliverance was at hand. One day, while fulfilling her duties, Deborah received a message from God that was different from any other. It wasn't about a property line or a family inheritance. It was a battle plan, a divine strategy to break the chains of Jabin and Sisera. The word of the Lord came to her, clear and specific, a summons for a man named Barak of Kadesh Naphtali. Deborah sent her messengers to bring him to the palm tree of wisdom, where he would receive marching orders from the King of Kings. When Barak arrived before the prophetess, the words she spoke were not her own. She began with a powerful declaration. Has not the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded you? This was a direct command from the Almighty. The plan was laid out with divine precision. Barak was to gather an army, 10,000 men, from Naphtali and Zebulun, and lead them to Mount Tabor. Then came the promise, the guarantee of victory. Deborah, speaking for the Lord, the reluctant warrior now had his mission. Barak stood before Deborah, the divine command echoing in his ears. Take 10,000 men, go to Mount Tabor. God will deliver Sisera into your hand. It was a clear promise of an incredible victory. You would expect a man chosen for such a task to leap at the opportunity, to be filled with courage and faith. But Barak was a man, just like us. He had lived under the shadow of those 900 iron chariots for 2 decades. He saw the overwhelming power of the enemy, and his faith wavered. He looked at the prophetess and made a condition.
Barak stood before Deborah, the divine command echoing in his ears. If you will go with me, I will go, Barak said. But if you will not go with me, I will not go.
Can you hear the hesitation, the tremor of fear? He wanted the presence of God's representative with him. He wanted to see Deborah standing by his side on the battlefield. It was a moment of human weakness, a desire for a tangible sign. Deborah's response was immediate and firm.
I will surely go with you, she agreed.
She would not let his wavering faith stop God's plan. But his request came with a consequence. For the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. The journey to battle had begun, with a prophetess leading the way for a hesitant general. The call went out. Messengers from Barak and Deborah raced through the hills, valleys of Naphtali, valleys of Zebulun. The command of the Lord was proclaimed. Gather at Mount Tabor summit. 10,000 men answered the call. These were not professional soldiers. They had no iron armor. They had no polished shields. They were farmers. They were shepherds. They were craftsmen. They'd been living in fear, hiding in the mountains. A word from God, spoken through his prophetess, ignited hope and courage. They left their fields. They left their families, armed with whatever they had. They made the ascent to the strategic heights of Mount Tabor. At the top, Barak and Deborah surveyed the growing army. Down below, in the plains of the Jezreel Valley, the enemy was stirring. Word had reached Sisera that Barak had gone up to Mount Tabor. He saw it as an act of rebellion. It must be crushed immediately and brutally. He didn't know he was walking directly into a divine trap. Far from the battlefield, in the tent of Heber the Kenite, was a woman named Jael, exactly where they needed to be for his perfect plan to unfold. The moment had come. From the heights of Mount Tabor, Deborah, Barak, and the 10,000 men of Israel looked down. They saw the valley floor swarming with the might of Canaan. The sun glinted off the iron of 900 chariots, a terrifying sight that would have sent a chill down any warrior's spine. But Deborah was not moved by what she saw with her eyes. She was moved by what she knew in her spirit.
Up, for this is the day in which the Lord has given Sisera into your hand.
Does not the Lord go out before you? This was the final command. Go now! God is already fighting for you. With that prophetic command, Barak led the charge. 10,000 men surged down the slopes of Mount Tabor, a torrent of humanity pouring into the valley to meet the enemy. And at that very moment, the God of Israel unleashed his own arsenal. The Bible tells us in Judges 5, in Deborah's song, that the earth trembled and the heavens dropped. The clouds also dropped water. A torrential downpour, a massive thunderstorm erupted over the battlefield. The ground, baked hard by the sun, instantly turned into a muddy swamp. The Kishon River, normally a gentle stream, became a raging, overflowing torrent. The 900 iron chariots, so menacing on dry ground, were useless. The entire Canaanite army was thrown into chaos and confusion. Seeing the complete and utter chaos, his army being decimated by the charging Israelites and the hand of God, Sisera knew all was lost. He abandoned his own chariot, stuck fast in the mire, and fled the battlefield on foot. He ran, not knowing that he was running directly toward his final appointment, an appointment set by God in the tent of a woman named Jael. For 40 years, the land had peace, all because a woman listened to God under a palm tree, and a nation turned back to their deliverer.